There's an incident that I feel like I just want to bring up to get your take on it. So WCW comes to the UK, there's a tour, and Sid and Arn Anderson get into this incident in Blackburn where there's a stabbing, there's scissors involved. It was a rough thing. How do you respond to that? What are your memories of that? Because that's got to be a pretty rough thing to have to deal with.
Yeah, it was late in the evening because it happened in a different time zone. It was late in the evening when I got a phone call. And Doug Dillinger, who was our head of security in WCW, called me and said, Eric, he told me what happened. And he gave me pretty specific details as to what led up to the incident and how it all went down. And first of all, I was horrified. It's late at night. I wasn't thinking. I think it was on a weekend. Maybe wrong about that. I can't remember, but it was at an odd time when I wasn't thinking about work. I was home with my family, my kids, and I get this phone call. Arn stabs Sid. I was like, what the can I just get a sexual harassment problem, please? Can I get some other kind of other than somebody tried to kill somebody with a pair of scissors? That was a tough one. I wasn't prepared for that one. I didn't know how to handle that. But I got more and more information, and once I got the update and nobody was going to die and bleed out and die in a hallway in a hotel, once I knew everybody was safe, I went and conferred with, the next day, my boss. His name was Bill Shaw at that time. And we said, well, let's just wait till everybody gets back, try to get as much detailed information as we can, and we'll figure out what to do from there. But it was a bizarre phone call to get.
But then, because Sid had been in WWF, he's come back. I'm assuming there were big plans for him. He obviously gets let go. Was that decision tough to kind of, take a big name and kind of get rid of him?
No, it wasn't tough because, that's such a serious situation. There has to be a very cut and dry decision. There can be no ambiguity. There can be no doubt. There can be no shadows. It has to be an incredibly clear decision. And the reason that I let Sid go, I'm going to be honest. I like Arn Anderson. I really do. And I respect Arn Anderson. However, Arn Anderson at that time in his life, in the wrestling business, we call them shit disturbers. People that just like to stir the shit, right? Just to be able to entertain themselves by watching people react to the shit that they've stirred up. That's how they got their entertainment. That's how a lot of wrestling talent kind of entertained themselves on the road. They were pulling ribs on each other, doing really horrible practical jokes on each other, or creating situations that they knew was going to cause drama and conflict because they got a weird kind of enjoyment out of watching all that happen in front of them. That's just unfortunately what happens, I guess, when you're on the road a lot. There was no doubt in my mind that Arn started that issue. Because Arn, and it came out subsequently, Arn was kind of like poking Sid, making fun of Sid, challenging Sid, embarrassing Sid in front of his peers. That was Arn Anderson's M.O. When he was drinking. When he was sober, he was fine. We all change when we're drinking. I was a lot more interesting 2 hours ago than I am now. But I'm going to do my best. But Arn was the kind of guy that once he started drinking and having fun, he was the class clown, only his idea of humor was to make fun of people, demoralize people, challenge people. And I knew that. But the reason I fired Sid is because Sid made the decision. Backtrack. So Arn's poking the bear, making fun of Sid in front of everybody in a bar. They're all drinking. Everybody's drinking, including Sid, Arn, everybody else. Arn's making fun of him, challenging him, demoralizing him, degrading him in front of people, whatever the case was. They both go up to their rooms eventually. Sid decides to leave his room and go confront Arn. That was the mistake. If Sid would have gone to his room, Arn would have gone to his room. They both would have slept it off. There would have been no issue. But Sid made the decision to go confront Arn. And then the incident happened. That's why I fired Sid. He's the one that made the decision to go take it one step further. Now, I can't condone stabbing somebody with a pair of scissors, but Arn was defending himself. As crass or unreasonable as that may sound, when you have a guy as big as Sid Vicious coming to your room to kick your ass, you're going to do whatever you have to do to not get your ass kicked. And again, I'm not condoning that, but at least I can put it into context. And the fact that Sid could have stayed in his room and left it be, but chose to ratchet the violence up by confronting Arn, in my opinion, made him the one that had to go.
And so that was 1993, and then later on in 1999, Sid comes back to WCW. I'm just curious, I know it's 6 years later, but is there massaging of kind of relationships that has to go on for that his return to be okay, or was it even an issue?
It wasn't an issue for me. Arn retained his job. Sid got fired. He paid his punishment. He paid his dues. I was willing to bring him back, and I expected Arn to accept that. That was it. There was no conversation. I didn't go to Arn and ask him. I didn't go to Arn and say, hey, I'm thinking about bringing him back. Are you going to be okay with this? I didn't have to do that. I expected Arn to be a professional.
And was there any conversation with Sid of, like, I'm bringing you back?
No.
Or had time passed enough?
I think enough time had passed, Kenny. I really do. I mean, the issue was, I think everybody, Arn knew that he instigated that issue. Arn knew that he was guilty in many respects. It wasn't like 100% of the guilt fell on Sid. It was 51-49. Arn was fortunate that he was the 49 and he was able to keep his job. Sid, unfortunately, was 51% of the problem because he went to the room and leveled up the issue. But enough time had passed that I just expected Arn to be a man and be a professional and accept it.